Bad weather outside, plenty of time.
Hey, good morning everyone. I hope you guys are well and like me, enjoying the final throws of the dice of what has been an absolutely incredible 2021 Red Bull XAlps, and of course a historic occasion for Chrigel Maurer. He's continuing to rewrite the record books. 7th win for Chrigel in this year's edition. Just to ask a couple of questions that were coming to mind as I watched that amazing race unfold. But before I get to Chrigel, I just want to say a very quick thank you, or a pair of thank yous. Firstly to Stefan Kruger, South African pilot, competition pilot, and former Red Bull XAlps competitor, who hopefully we'll see him in the Red Bull XAlps again in the future. To Stefan for setting me up the contacts. To Tarquin, a huge thank you for being the guy on the ground to approach Chrigel and set up this interview. So without further ado, Chrigel, thank you so much for your time. Let's just get straight into it. I know you've been inundated with questions and media requests. 28 minutes past 6 in the afternoon, local time, that you nailed that raft landing to take your 7th victory in the XAlps. And what was shaping up a day or two ahead of that to become possibly the closest ever Red Bull XAlps that we've seen. Obviously, from your point of view, you've had a couple of days off now. Things have had a chance to sink in. A lot of the emotions have settled. Looking back, is there anything in particular that stands out in your mind as being a memory of this edition?
For sure it was the start, because we started in Salzburg for a new adventure and it was everything unknown. The weather was not clear and there was a new pressure. Everybody expected I will be first anyway, and it makes it special. But after we came into the race, I made some mistakes. We was in a hurry and we was pushing hard all the days, and after 7 days we was still together with the others head to head, and it makes it good fun. Finally I could realize that the others also competing well and they are very strong, and I felt good to stay always in front for sure. But I hoped for a situation where I can fly further than the others, and this was day 8. And for me it was just the normal route I took often when I do big cross-country flights, but I never had this course with the south wind, with the strong south wind, and it makes it for a new challenge. For sure it was my hardest or my most difficult 200k flight towards Piz-Palu turn point, and finally I landed in Italy, Finchgau Valley, and it was just brilliant to see that I can cover this distance on one day in a 10-hour flight. Finally we are here in Tel Amse and finished the race 2 days ago, and for sure it was a hard a change from the nature coming here to the civilization and all the people watching, and it was live with me. And finally we are here in a hotel, and I feel like a king, you know. It's just crazy. And now 2 days later I can imagine that what happened, what we did in the last 10 days, and it's always a big story every 2 years, and finally I did another one. Finally I'm very happy to be here, to be healthy, and with my team we had a very good time, and finally we could fly a lot, and it makes it more easy, more comfortable, and my body especially feels perfect, and I'm very happy to compete in 2 weeks in the next competitions, and yes, it's just perfect for me.
Chrigel, there was a day, the Mont Blanc day I'm referring to in particular, that Maxine was charging, Benoit was up there as well, and it was there were a lot of people, I think, that were watching that day and thinking to themselves, this edition is going to go right down to the wire. Were there moments where you were starting to think, okay, I've got a big fight on my hands here and I'm not really sure how this one's going to play out?
Yes, this was after 7 days, and it was always like this. I realized that it can be a really close final for sure, because the others, they was always present, they flew perfect, and they was also strong on the ground. for especially Benoit, he made some mistakes in the air, and he always pushed by foot in front of me, and it was really very impressive to see. But after Mont Blanc, I was thinking about to go to the south, the Osta Valley, direction Ticino, and finally I spent a bit of time to have this decision. I tried to do really cloud-based to have good decision, and Maxim flew away from me. I was not see him well and not realizing, but in the evening I could see that he's already in front of me. So this is typical this adventure race, and finally I went back to Wallis because of the humidity of the clouds in the south, and this is finally I think it was a good decision, especially for the next day, for day 8, to have this flight from Wallis direction Chur, and yeah, for sure I was not sure about this decision because the forecast was good in the south too, and I could imagine that Maxim and Benoit went over the Simplon Pass to the south, and finally I know that it's maybe a change. They can go in front for sure, or I can go in front, but I realized that it's now the point to have a chance to make a difference.
So the day after the Mont Blanc day, Chrigel, your master stroke came with a decision to take a more northerly route. I'm curious to know, at what point did you realize, okay, this has worked, this gamble's paid off? Or was there a stage on that hike where you were possibly starting to second guess yourself and thinking, oh, I don't know if I've made a good call here?
Yes, for sure. I realized that the wind is quite strong. As long I follow the ridge direction Chur, I know the south wind is good. It's a good wind. It helps me to be fast. But after to cross into the Engadine Valley and to the turn point Pitzpalu, I recognize that it's a really strong headwind and not easy to fly. I thought I have to walk, but I also took the night pass because we thought that if I have to land and walk against a strong wind, I will be in a good position on the next day and I can keep up with the others maybe. This was the philosophy, and finally I was able to fly because the cloud base was really high, and in the high there was not so strong wind as in the mid layer, and finally it helps to push against the wind and against the Alps to cross over. And for sure there was some moments because I tried earlier in the area Disentis to go to the south. I tried after in Ilans to go to the south, and it was so strong headwind that I thought it's for sure the wrong route today, because in the south of the Alps the measurement of the stations was with clearly less wind, and I thought if they can fly they have less problem with the wind, and for sure on the end to the turn point the wind will help them to make the turn point, and for me it's against. Yeah, but this is sometimes the most difficult part in a race like this, that you have to take a decision for one time, and then you have to go for it, and you have to do the best and not changing the plan. And I really hoped or stick for the plan, and finally it works, and in the evening I was very happy that it was like this.
So I think followers of the XAlps will know about your pyramid training plan, where you build your base of fitness and endurance, and you slowly start to increase the intensity of that. And as you get closer to the event, you start to push longer flights. But very clearly, the latest edition of the XAlps has shown huge steps in technology of wings and technology of harnesses. 2023, throwing ahead, obviously you are somebody who is going to be a leader in terms of potential new advances as we look forward to the next edition. In your mind, Chrigel, do you think we're going to see many changes in terms of wing development and harness development through lessons that have been learned from this edition?
Yeah, it was interesting to see that manufacturer like Ozone or Nibuk, they build new gliders which are very light and still good enough. And also the other brands like Nova, they had no experience in this category and built a new equipment with a glider with a nice harness, which is quite good. And finally, I think it goes more and more in the direction that it's very light and still performing well with a good feeling. So the gliders at the moment, they perform well. The top speed can be more for sure, but also it's important that the glider stays easy to fly in rough conditions without the high concentration, that we can land or take off in difficult places. And so the gliders have to be compact and easy, and especially light. And when we spoke about the weight 4 years ago, there was around 3.5 up to 4 kilo, and now we clearly under 3 kilos. And I think in 2 years, or I hope in 2 years, every factor make wings under 3 kilos with the good performance. And finally we saw here around 6 different gliders, and all of them was performing very well. So the differences was very small, and the weight was quite big. The differences from 2.5 kilo up to 3.5 was everything in the field. But yeah, we know that they can produce very light equipment, and the goal have to be that it's also useful in a race like this.
The biggest change of 2021 Red Bull XAlps, of course, the Switchback, now that has been done, as opposed to the traditional finish in Monaco. Your thoughts on that? Do you think it was a successful call from the organisers?
For me, definitely was the better option. It was so nice to see all these people, to have this spirit, and it was just amazing, because I often was in Monaco and there was nothing happened, there was no party, no people, or almost no. And yeah, it was an emotional goal. It was the end of the Alps, and then to have a swim in the sea, it was emotional, great, but not for the competition. And the XAlps for me starts in 2003 with the philosophy of an adventure, crossing all the Alps from glacier to the sea. And during the years it comes more and more like a competition, and now the level is really high of all the teams, and it's really head to head like in a competition. And for this, a turn is perfect, and the goal here in Zell is perfect, and it doesn't matter where it ends, but because yeah.
Chrigel, my last question, and I'm pretty certain you know what it's going to be. 2023, are we going to see the Eagle coming back to defend his title?
The question is difficult to answer, because I don't know what's happening in 2 years, but generally I stay really motivated. I end this year after good preparation and a smart race very healthy, so I not feel anything. The only problem I had is this from coming out from the boat. So after safe XAlps race, I crashed my knee on the boat. And finally, that's a funny story, and it shows that I can do with my experience it quite safe. And if I take the time for a good preparation, if I have the budget for a next race, and I find a good team and motivation, I will do it for sure in 2 years again.
A massive thank you, Chrigel, for giving me time for a quick interview.
Hey, I really I don't know the words, but it's so nice that so many people follow all these adventure races, and I wish you, to all the South African fans, nice greetings from Zell, and thank you for watching the race and spending all the news. It was just great and pushed me to the end. Thank you very much, and see you maybe next year or in 2 years at the XAlps.